Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Deal Machine webinar with our very own, the 203K way, Matt Porcaro over here.
What's up, guys? How's it going? Glad to be here. Super excited to be here. I love DealMachine and love to put my spin on it. So excited for this one.
So pumped to have Matt here and to talk to you about his story. But first, we want to know where y'all are from. Please drop where you are located. I am in Indianapolis. Matt, you are in
New York City. If the focus was out, you'd see the Chrysler building behind there. But yeah, I'm in New York City. I invest in Long Island, New York. Cool. We got people all over the place. Very sweet.
Philadelphia, Texas, Denver, Texas. And feel free, you guys. This webinar is also a great place to start networking with people. We've had people do that before. So if you see like-minded people that are on here in your area, network. Okay, especially if you're just starting out. You got to network. We also have with us the man with the plan, Dakota Allen, down there. He is our member trainer. Dakota, tell the good people what you do here at DealMachine.
Yeah. So, a lot of what I do is run the trainings that we offer here. So we have one on driving for dollars. We do one on list builder. We also have one on wholesaling as well. So I believe we'll drop links for those throughout the night. If you are curious or you'd like to sign up, go ahead and do so. They're all free. I love to see you guys and see all the questions that you have. And then also I do a lot of work with our professional members who decide to sign up at the annual for the annual plan. So I'm the customer success manager for them. So I do a lot of one-on-one meetings, business reviews, and things like that throughout the year with those guys. So a lot of fun, always learning something new.
And we will be dropping those training links in the chat throughout if you guys would like to sign up for those trainings and how to use DealMachine with that. And then we have AJ, who is the king of customer success and service over here. So you guys have probably talked to AJ plus our awesome team. So we have AJ here answering your questions as well, but let's go ahead and dive in here. So if you guys don't know, this is Matt. So I'm going to let Matt talk about your real estate investing journey and, where you're at with that right now.
Sure. So, just like a lot of people, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and which I see sitting there behind you. It's, I grew up in a blue collar family, and I was told, go to college, get a good job, and everything else is going to work out. Right. My dad has had his own business as a carpenter, general contractor. And we saw a lot of good times, saw a lot of bad times, very dependent on the economy. So growing up, that volatility with money was always just a really, it weighed on me heavy, right? I knew when we didn't have money, right? I knew when, electricity would get shut off, and they would tell me, oh, they messed up, but I knew, and I got, so, there's good times and bad times. And I think that volatility always stuck with me. Right. So, the antithesis to that was like, okay, well, go get a stable job, right? Go get a stable job. And I did that, right? I kind of followed the thing, right? I went to college, got a degree in electrical engineering. Honestly, I picked electrical engineering because when I looked up the highest paid degrees that I could get in 4 years, because I knew I didn't love school, but I knew so I wasn't going to go for master's. I sure as hell wasn't going to be a doctor, but I knew I wanted to do something that was, that was like the best way to make money in the shortest amount of time. So engineering was that. I was pretty good at physics, actually terrible at math, which is funny. I got better at math at a necessity in college, but lo and behold, I followed all the steps and ended up going to school and doing the things, getting internships. And I think I remember being 2 weeks into my internship and being like, oh, this is kind of depressing, right? I don't know. I was used to working for my dad and working for him and his own business where it's you hustle. And I'm just surrounded by people that didn't. I kind of sensed that immediately. So it was actually funny. Even during my internship, I was walking down, I did a lot of work in New York City. I worked for a lot of design build firms, for construction in New York City. And this is when the World Trade Center was going up, the new one's going up, the Freedom Tower. And I was walking down Fulton Street and, there's a guy literally on the side of the road selling books. and he sold used books, and one of them was Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I like always saw it and I never knew what it was, but I was like, whatever, I picked it up. It was a couple bucks. I inhaled it in like 2 days and I was like, holy crap. Like this is for a kid that grows up with like a family that doesn't understand money, right? Like my dad, when he made money, we'd go on vacation, right? And then like we'd be back to where we started, right? Where he'd make money and he'd go buy something, buy a car, right? He never invested. So, for me, it was like, okay, well, all right, so I don't go to work for a job, and it kind of changed the whole game. So, fast forward, I started looking into investing and tried a whole bunch of different things. And I found out about wholesaling because, to me, buying a house, let alone, was like impossible. Like to me, I was like, I don't know when I'm going to be able to do this. So the idea of like wholesaling where you could buy houses and flip houses with no money, no credit, no anything was like, holy crap, this is another epiphany that I had. I tried all the things, and I think I told you this, Elise, but I did driving for dollars well before this amazing thing called DealMachine was around. And the way I did it was I would drive neighborhoods with a legal pad and write down the addresses. And I would get maybe like 5 houses or 10 houses at a clip. Now with DealMachine, I get like 100 at a clip, but that's a different story. The point I'm getting at is like, I didn't really make a lot of headway. I was doing this with my full-time job and I couldn't crack it. I'll be honest. I had a lot of leads. I definitely got leads. There was a lot of things I did that I could do like with no money, right? I would handwrite the letters myself. I had like my little sticky note thing, which I'll tell you guys a little bit more about, but I used to just like write my name on a sticky note, be like, hey, my name is Matt. I'm interested in buying your house, and slap it on their front door. This was before I was way too scared to door knock at this point. So I had some leads. I got in touch with some people and just couldn't crack it. And it was frustrating because I really wanted it to happen, but I couldn't crack it. And I think in retrospect, I know reasons why I let these deals go. I was young, I was focused on money, and I didn't even talk to the seller about like what the seller wanted, right? So one nugget I could give anybody here that's talking to off-market sellers: just talk to them, just see what they want. That's all you need to do. I wasn't talking about what they wanted. I was talking about what I wanted. So I can give you this money. I can do this for you. I can't spend that. It's going to cost me, $100,000 to renovate this house. And it was all about me. And that's why I lost a lot of those deals. I'm sure you put a good wholesaler out there, they would have crushed some of those deals that I had. Anyway, so fast forward, I tried a lot of different things and I was trying and failing, but I knew real estate was the game. And lo and behold, I was taking a lot of, I joined some mentorship programs, and I was in one with my local real estate investment association group. And I grew up in Long Island, New York, a suburb of New York City, super high cost of living, highest taxes in the nation, super competitive. And it was just like, okay, well, maybe if I join my local RIA is going to give me some insight, right? Maybe they know what the code is right here. And I ended up taking this course with the lady that ran it, this lady, Melissa. And a lot of the course was a lot of the stuff I had already read in like books, videos, and training. And I'm like, I just spent like a big chunk of change on this mentorship with me and my dad. And I'm like, finally, I pulled her to the side one day. I'm like, hey, Melissa, like, I have a couple grand in the bank. I've been trying everything. I'm trying wholesaling. I'm trying a lot of different things. Like, you're super successful. She's like a super mom. She has like 8 kids. She owns like 1,000 something units. She runs the local RIA. She runs like every organization. She's just like one of those people, you know what I mean? Like the people that you just don't know how the heck they do it. So I really respected her, and I took her to the side. I'm like, listen, I know we're talking about a lot of different things. Like, listen, I have a couple, like, if you were me, I was like 25 at the time. I was like, if you were me at my age, if you could do it all over again, what would you do? And she said, well, what I would do is I would use something called the 203K loan. First time I ever heard about it, right? I would use this 203K loan, never heard of it. I was like, okay, what's that? It's like, well, what I would do, it's an owner occupant loan, and you only have to put 3.5% down. I said, oh, wow. Okay. 3.5%. I thought you had to put 20% down. It's like, well, no, if you live there. So she said, what you do is find a fixer upper house, find a really beat up house. I'm like, okay, well, how am I going to pay for the renovation? She said, well, the beauty of the 203K loan is it's an FHA loan. So you only have to put 3.5% down, but they allow you to wrap the renovation costs, all of it, into the loan. So you pay no renovation cost out of pocket. It's like, holy crap. Okay. So I'm like, but I don't know if I want to live. She's like, listen, buy a house, live in the basement. Basements are big in New York. Live in the basement, rent out the upstairs, get the house paying for itself, build equity into that house with this 203K loan. You only need 3.5%. You could easily save that up, even in this market, and then go build that up. I see Melissa Shea, Long Island Realtor. She's great. Yes, Eric, that is her. She's amazing. So she told me this. Now, she said, other than that, I really don't know much about this loan. So you're on your own. So I'm like, holy crap. So I go home and I like Google everything, bigger pockets, everything you could think of. And like, nothing about 203Ks, like not, especially not looking at it through the eyes of an investor and like kind of the way that I wanted to do it. So fast forward, I started figuring out, like, I'm like trying to figure out what I want to do. And I was saving a little extra money, and I had some money just like finally for the first time in my life, a little bit of a savings. And I call the only lender that I knew was a family friend. I'm like, do you know anything about a 203K? And he's like, yeah, man, these are great. Like, this would be awesome for you. Like, let's get you started. And I think only because he was a family friend, and in retrospect, you know, I'm super glad he did this. Only because he was a family friend, he was able to get my social, my all my documents. By like that afternoon, I was pre-approved. And you know, that is what's the beauty of taking action, guys. It was like one phone call that really just changed my life. And I brought him on board, and he told me about this loan. Now, what I found out later was that he had never done one of these before, and I could get into that a little more. But actually, what ended up happening was, you know, he told me about this, and he, you know, knew it was a good thing. He saw the opportunity that I saw, and he just had me start looking for any type of fixer-upper properties. Now, he started sending me foreclosures, and I'm like, I thought foreclosures are cash only. He's like, yeah, and 203K and renovation owner occupant loans. I was like, holy crap. And he said, yeah, and a lot of banks actually get kickbacks or like some type of thing where if they sell foreclosures to owner occupants, they get a little bit of an incentive. So what they do with a lot of foreclosures these days is they release it for the first 10 days in something called a first look period. And during this first look period, only owner occupants are allowed to bid on the property, and they're supposed to accept any offer so now you don't even have to compete with cash buyers. And now you're able to purchase a completely crappy house with only 3.5% down. So sure enough, I started bidding on a lot of properties, and honestly, a lot of that stuff was still out of my price range. You know, I made decent money back in the day, but it was, you know, like when I was, you know, just starting out, made decent money. But in New York, like, it's a 2-income state. Like, if you want to own a house, you need 2 incomes. So I barely made it out, but I would just keep throwing offers. So lo and behold, I found out by accident that the FHA actually allows you to buy up to 4 units. So what I was able to do was I was able to find a 2-family. Now, this lender told me, he said, hey, listen, I'm like, I can't afford this house. I think it was listed for like 290 or something like that. And I said, okay, I don't think I could afford this house. And it was like literally the ugliest house in Long Island, probably the ugliest house in New York. It was a literal crack den. A slumlord owned it. The town hated it. People were using the bathroom, but the bathroom wasn't working. There were people squatting in it. It was like literally the ugliest house out there. But luckily, I had him kind of pushing me to, to this thing. And I had some confidence. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was like, all right, well, I see there could be potential here. So what he said was, you can forecast the other unit. You could forecast that income, and that's going to be able to get you to be approved. So I found out about like kind of house hacking and the ability to get your tenant to pay your mortgage almost on accident, which was awesome. It's a blessing in disguise. But I found, because I was not able to get approved for that loan, right? It actually happened to be that with that other tenant, like with the forecasted rent of whatever it was going to be for that other unit, that it just got me over the threshold to be able to afford the purchase price plus renovation costs. So I ended up picking up the house for $270, and I had to put about $80,000 to $100,000 into it. Okay, so I was $350 roughly all in. I knew that it was probably going to be worth in the 4s when I was done. I didn't know for sure, right? I was very new, but I knew it was probably a good deal. And so I used all my everything leading up to this point about learning about investing, right? So I did all that stuff, and I got to the end point, and there was a lot of bumps and bruises along the way. As I said, there's not much information about it, but we ended up getting through it. And 8 months later, we finished the renovation on it. It was a full gut renovation. And the appraiser came back and reappraised it for $480,000. So I turned my $9,500 down payment, which was my 3.5% out of pocket, into 130,000 in equity in 8 months. Not to mention that I was literally not paying for the property because the tenants were paying for it. And then very shortly after, I got engaged with my wife and moved out. Now I still rent that property out for like $2,000 a month cash flow, because when I moved out, I cash flow both sides. So it was a home run. And I vividly remember being done with this whole thing. And listen, again, there was a lot of bumps and bruises along the way. And that's why I kind of created the 203K way. We could get more into that. But at the end of this whole thing, I like remember being done, like, and all the missteps along the way, and just still looking around at this property, smelling the paint on the walls, smelling, the redone floors, and just being like, why the hell do not more people know about this? Why did it take me 4 years to know about this as an investor that's trying to get started? Because they're even with the intricacies and the nuances of the loan, it's so worth it when you see how powerful it is, because of how little you have to come out of pocket to get such a huge equity return. Right. And that's the way it got started. And from there, I've been able to, leverage that equity, go buy and flip more deals. I flip houses with my dad. I'm in the process of going to do another one right now. I was telling Elise, like, we're in the process of going and doing this thing again. So, yeah, it's been a wild ride. And what ended up happening was I started posting about it. People started asking me, hey, how the hell did you buy this? Like, how'd you do that? Wait, what did you pay for it? Wait, only $9,500 and what? And like, so I just started telling people, I helped some friends do these. Right. And then I was developing a process and seeing how to do it, specifically what I coined the 203K way, which is my way of getting started into real estate investing.
I had never heard about it. I would love to know who on here, if you've heard of this loan, put yes or no in the chat. I'd love to know. Okay, we got some. Oh, one yes, Jeremiah.
It's about half and half, maybe.
Yeah, this is so cool. And I love that. Like, that's just and you still have those properties. And I'm sure the neighbors probably came up to you and were like, thank you for taking this property and turning.
I will tell you, it was the easiest permitting process that ever happened in the history of New York. Okay. Because New York, to get permits is just an absolute nightmare. Bureaucracy overload. Right.
Right.
But we dealt with the village because it's right in town. I mean, it like the house is like generally like not a house you want, but again, it was like the only thing I could afford. And it's a good cash cow now. It's a good rental. But it's in the village, and like they wanted this thing, like they were like, do whatever, like just go, just like get this thing, because it was like they had crackheads hanging out in like the alleyway behind, and like there's other row homes around, and they're nice homes, and people hate it. So they were very happy that I was there. And again, like most people would run from it, but really where this loan shines, guys. Now, again, this loan is meant for just people to wrap renovation costs into a house and buy a fixer upper, right? How many people, even right now in this market, like they want to buy a house and the cost out of pocket's too high to do all the renovations and everything, or you're trying to use a regular FHA and you don't pass inspection. In this market, your seller is not going to, your seller's going to go grab another offer. They're not going to wait. They're not going to do the repairs. They're not going to screw with that. They're going to go to the next offer, which versus the 203K, you can buy the property as is and wrap the renovations into the mortgage. And then you can make all those fixes and get it done. But that's not where this shines. This thing shines when you find these fixer upper beat up properties that myself now and like guys that I work with, guys and gals that I work with that are now leveraging driving for dollars and finding beat up houses in any neighborhood that they want. And now using this loan to do that. Now, listen, you could drive for dollars to wholesale, but how about driving for dollars? How about driving for your home, driving for a cash cow home for you? And in a super crazy market, why fight the MLS when you can go and get right in contact directly with the sellers, no competition, and then use this loan on this deal. Now, the caveat obviously to this loan is that you have to live there. It's an FHA loan, right? So this is the live-in flip strategy, right? Like when you're first starting out, this is where it shines, right? You do it once, maybe twice, to really build some equity, build some confidence in your ability to flip a house, right? I always say it's like flipping a house with training wheels on. If you're scared of the construction process, you're scared of dealing with contractors, The 203K loan, it's like, some people are scared of the extra steps, but those extra steps are there to help you. They're there to protect you. They're there to protect everyone. Actually, they're there to protect the contractor, the bank, and you. So that's what's really beautiful about it. But yeah, no, not enough people know about it. I'm glad to see like half people know, half people don't.
And I'd love for those questions you have for Matt here, like definitely put them in the chat. We are going to be bringing people up. I have a question myself that I'm sorry to steal someone else's question, but I want to give you guys time. Dakota will be bringing you guys up, so stay aware of that. But my question for you, Matt, especially because your dad and you were, being a contractor and everything, like when I see so many people ask me like, how do I've either been screwed over by a contractor or something like that, or something like that. What do you look for? What makes a good contractor? Like, what are the questions you should be asking?
Sure. So, this could be a very long answer. I'm going to try to put it very from a referral and someone that's not a fly by night guy, right? You want the guy that is not doing the business out of their truck. You want the guy with the back office with a couple crews, licensed, bonded, insured. But guys, you want that anyway, right? I mean, I've seen so many people flip houses, and what is the number one thing everyone does wrong? They try to cheap out on the rehab. And everyone thinks that they're the exception to the rule. They're like, well, I could do it. No, I know a guy that's going to be able to do it better. And that's just not how it works, right? So with the 203K loan, the bank has to make sure that this contractor is legitimate, right? They're going to check their licensing. They're going to check that they're bonded. They're going to check that they're insured. Bonded meaning like they have some trade lines, right? They want to make sure that the beauty for the contractor is it's guaranteed money, right? What contractor ever worked? If you're just doing a residential job, what contractor really knows if you have the money? I tell people all the time, and I've said this to contractors before. They're like, well, how do I know I get paid or blah, blah, blah. It's like that money goes into escrow day one. The entire estimate. If you go do a renovation on Harry and Sally's house and they give you a $5,000 deposit. Do you know if it's a $50,000 job? Do you know they have that extra 45 grand? You really don't. And that's when you get into those scuffs where the homeowner decides to hold back a ton of money. It used to happen to my dad. I used to see it like, someone would like mess up or they wouldn't have the hardware for the cabinets and they'd hold back 10 grand. Because they felt like that was like what was worthy. With the 203K loan, they have some fail stops in place. You make sure that you have the right contractor for the job. And then they bring on something called a 203K consultant. 203K consultants are generally just home inspectors that added this 203K consultant hat to their list. And what they do is they help you create a scope of work of what needs to be done to the property. So generally speaking, best rule of thumb is get your 203K consultant in the property first. Now, an experienced 203K lender is going to give you an experienced 203K consultant. They're going to help develop the scope of work. Really easy, really good. These guys, especially that they do a lot of them, they'll know what to do. They give you a line item scope of work. Now you take that line item scope of work and ship it out to your contractors and say, hey, listen, this is what needs to be done and what I want done to the property. Contractor just fills in labor and material on every line item. And now you have leveled competitive bids. Now and now you can easily pick the best contractor for the job.
That is so interesting. And I love that. That would make me feel way more secure than if I was to just flip, because I've heard just so many horror stories of things. Mm-hmm. Or how they get paid, or like they paid too much, or they took my money and then wanted more, and yada, yada, yada. Like, this sounds just so much less of a headache. I mean, there's still going to be headaches, but it sounds like less of a headache. And I'm so glad we have you on here. We are going to talk about Matt's 203K way and his program. I apologize. There's cleaning going on in the offices. But Dakota, do we have someone to bring up right now? I don't want to monopolize the time.
Yes, let me go ahead and bring up our first one. So you guys are going to get kind of like an invitation to be a panelist. Go ahead and accept that. That way you can come over to our side and turn on your video, unmute your mic, the whole nine.
Oh, I already have another question I need to write down, but I'm not going to ask it right now.
Sometimes Zoom doesn't like to cooperate with us. So we may just give you the ability to use your mics.
Oh, Elizabeth, I
Until
saw
we
Elizabeth's
get
been a
you.
member here.
I've seen a lot of good questions come
Yeah.
up in the chat too. So I don't know if it's better to do the Q&A thing so we could keep track of it or what, but a lot of great questions. Happy to answer them all.
Hi, Elizabeth. I'm going to ask to unmute you. Oh, Zoom. All right, we'll see if she comes. Oh. Hi,
Can you
Elizabeth.
hear
me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Elizabeth.
How are you?
Doing great.
Awesome.
So what question do you have?
Well, I have a couple different ones. I can't remember what the first one was because I just got done typing the last one. A 203K, is there a limit to how many times you can use that?
Biggest question I get asked. Number one question I get asked. Short answer. This isn't a flipping loan, right? Like this isn't a loan to do and repeat over and over again, right? At the end of the day, the bank's going to look at you and they're going to say, are you going to go live in this property? Now, can you repeat it? Yes. As long as you play by the rules, and then the previous property, you have a good reason to get out and good reason to go into the next one. What I tell people, and like I did it, I did my first one and then I went and did a bunch of other flips with other strategies, right? The reality is the 203K is super, super powerful, right? But the power in it is very specific to that first one or like that next one or whatever. It's very powerful to like really, I always say just jumpstart, right? I always say like launch, like everyone that does this, it's like to launch your real estate investing career because it gives you the experience and it gives you a lot of equity, cash flow, whatever. Now you have money to play with, right? Now you can go leverage that money and go do another BRRRR strategy, or you can go, use that money for a down payment for a fix and flip and combine it with hard money or private money, which makes it a lot faster, right?
Okay.
There's another loan product out there called the home style loan. Very, very, very similar to the 203K. Actually, it's probably better to use if you're looking for a single family. A good renovation lender is going to know which direction to point you in based on the property that you buy. But the home style loan is very cool because they allow you to do this pretty much the exact same process. And you don't have to live in the property, and you only need 15% down.
Okay.
Not as cool as 3%, but you don't have to live there. That's the caveat to it. When you put 15% down, and you're also getting rock bottom interest rates. You're getting like 3-4% versus a hard money or private money lender. You're way higher than that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I have one more if I may.
Sure.
Can you use a 203K for a mixed use property, and instead of occupying the residential part, you have your business in the commercial part?
So great question. Two parts to that question. First part, yes, you can use a 203K to buy mixed use, so long as the residential space in the property is 51% of the square footage. So it has to be most of the square footage of the property. You can buy mixed use. You can't use renovation costs to renovate the commercial space. You can't, but generally speaking, if you're leasing it out to a tenant, you do a triple net lease, they're responsible for their own renovations anyway. They'll allow you to do whatever like stuff you need to do to make it like, a usable space. So like if you need to do stuff for the electrical or the plumbing or whatever, they'll let you wrap that in to make it a usable space, but they won't let you like fit it out to be an art studio or whatever you decide to put there, whatever. So that's the first part of your question. Second part of your question is, can you use the business as the downstairs and rent the upstairs? No, it needs to be your occupied residence that you live in, right? Okay. Remember guys, the beauty of this and the reason they give you that super low down payment, the super low interest rate, is because banks know that if you live there, you're going to make that your baby. You are going to make that mortgage payment every month, right? We saw in 2008 what happens when people get 100% financing on properties that they don't live in. They just let them all foreclose. They don't care about them. Banks noticed that in 2008, people just let all the other houses foreclose, but you bet they paid their mortgage on their own house, right? And that's why the bank gives you that benefit. And again, it's you leveraging that owner occupancy status to just give yourself a really big boost,
Okay. Thank you.
Great questions. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Elizabeth. I'm like writing down all these questions on these posts.
There's a lot of good questions coming up in the chat too.
So many. We're gonna bring up a couple more, but then we are probably gonna do a rapid fire round
Sure.
at some point, so that way we get everyone's
Sweet.
questions. Jackie, how's it going? I'm gonna ask to unmute you.
Hey there.
Hey, Jackie.
I kept getting the little signal to come on and I kept saying no because I'm shy.
Don't be shy.
We're all friends here. You're fine, Jackie.
Well, the reason why I was like, saying, okay, forget it, I'm not going to go on was because actually my question was kind of already answered. So I was actually wondering about, how many times you can use the 203K loan, and then Matt, basically explained that you can, but it's basically
you don't
just
need
to get
to
your foot in the door.
Use it the one time.
Yeah.
Use it the one time. What I like to tell people is I get this question so much. And one, I've made this response a little different. I said, whether you can or can't, would you not use it because you can't? Right? Like, it's still, if the rule was you could only use it one time, which is not true, but if the rule was that you can only use it one time, why would you not take advantage?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. It's an easy way to hit a quick home run. Right. So that's, but I understand people's curiosity with it, but I'm a big believer in, like, just do it, take advantage of it. Right. Take advantage of it, of what's available to you for now, and then worry about the rest later. There's many doors open for you. The one thing I realized, not to keep cutting you off, but I think the one thing I realized after getting that first deal was that so many doors open for me. When I used to be the guy at the local RIA that never did a deal, hard money. This is back when, like, hard money lenders wouldn't talk to you unless you've done a deal. Like, they wouldn't even give you an offer. They just wouldn't even touch it. Now there's tons of hard money lenders. They'll work with newbies, whatever. They wouldn't even touch you. Private money lenders would never touch you. Like, nobody, you're not cool. You're like the least cool person in the room. Once you get one deal under your belt, I was blown away. I didn't think I was I was like, I'm a nobody. I don't know anything. Everyone wants to be your friend. Everyone wants to lend you money. Everyone, like, I got tons of people that, like, friends, family on Facebook, after I posted the pictures, like, can I flip a house with you? I've been wanting to flip houses for years. I could, I'd be the money guy. We could flip a house together. Overnight, like, all my things that I always had issues with in the past became like they went away. Like, realtors were like, knew I wasn't a tire kicker anymore. They knew I actually did a deal. Right. And I promoted myself that way. So, and I used better options, better meaning faster, which in real estate is really key. You got speed of money is the most important thing.
Thank you. Actually, now that we've been talking, another question came up.
Sure.
And I was just wondering, what's a good place for us to look to find a lender that specializes in 203K loans?
Awesome question. So if everybody that's listening, write this down. If you're interested in doing this process, the number one most important part of this entire process is that you have a lender that is experienced with these loans. You have a mortgage broker that understands these loans. There's a company that they have a big renovation loan department, and they understand this. My lender had no idea. And that's why all the problems happened. He had no idea what the hell they were doing. I won't get into that because it's going to scare people away. Again, didn't matter because it was still the best thing I ever did. I would do it twice again if I had to. But that being said, great question. So there's a couple different things. Number one is what I like to call the 60-second 203K lender finder hack. Okay. So because it's an FHA loan, all right, everything is public information. It's a federally backed loan. So if you go to Google, you type in 203K endorsement summary, 203K endorsement summary. The first link that comes up is going to bring you to the HUD website. You're going to scroll down to the bottom. Now, these are going to be lists a month and year dating back to a couple of years back, whatever. You go to the most recent month and year. You click on that link, and it's going to give you all of the lenders in all the major markets across the U.S., all the states in the U.S. that have endorsed and are currently doing 203K loans. So all you do is you look for your market or whatever market's closest to you. You scroll, you find lenders that have endorsed a couple deals. Usually they have 1 to 2 to 3, whatever. You want to look for the ones that did the most. And then you just write down their name, whatever it is. You type in, if you're in Cincinnati, you do Cincinnati, if it's Caliber Home Loans, renovation, type that in, see what their local office is, call them up, say who heads up renovation loans in your office. And those, and now you know exactly who's doing them. So another thing that happens is like lenders don't do this too much anymore, but like back in the day, like lenders were just desperate for business. So they'd be like, oh yeah, I'll do a 203K. Kind of like my family friend. He just was happy to get the business. But when push comes to shove, he had no idea what the heck he was doing. So you get these guys or gals that are experienced with this loan. And what better way to know than to get from this endorsement summary? Now there's a bunch of different options. Shameless plug. I have a Facebook group community. I could type it in the chat right now. I have a lot of lenders that are members in there now. And they're networked all across the US. But if you want to join my Facebook group, it's a great community to network with lenders. And there's a lot of lenders in there that understand this process. And usually, even if they're not licensed in that area, they're usually happy to refer you to someone that is licensed in that area. So I'll go ahead and put the link to my Facebook group there in the comments.
Jackie, that was a great question because that was one of mine. I said, finding the right loan officer ? So that
Yay.
was great.
Yeah, it's facebook.com/group/the 203K way. Yeah, there you go. AJ just posted it in. The 90-second lender finder hack. That's another good one. But yeah, most important though, everything else would be super easy if you use someone that is used to doing these. And now again, like I said before, like if you're looking to buy a single family, they'll probably push you to a home style, and that's okay. That's the right thing to do, right? But a good experienced renovation lender is going to understand that. Now, listen, I promise you there's one in every market. I promise you. You just need to network with the right people. And if you're even either in the Facebook group or like, you use this endorsement summary hack, it's just an easy way to very quickly get on the phone with the right people. And then they're going to point you in the best direction, right? The 203K way is kind of my coin, but the process is really doing the owner occupied live in flip strategy using renovation loans. The 203K is kind of like the Kleenex of renovation loans. There's a couple of them out there. They're all pretty much the same thing, just different flavors. The home style loan's better for single family, but if you're looking to buy a multifamily, which is what I did, and really like leverage, you want a house hack, you want to live for free, you want to get a whole bunch of doors in one shot, which is really the best thing, right? FHA allows you, it's 3.5% down, 1 to 4 units, no matter what. That's all you have to put down, right? So if you buy 4 units, it's still 3.5% down. Home style, they make you come out of pocket like 25% down if you do a home style, even if you live there, right? And then even a duplex, they make you put 15% down. So usually home style, single family, multifamily, 203K all day.
That's really
Thank
good.
you.
Thanks, Jackie. All right, we
Great
got
questions, guys.
Aaliyah. I hope I said your name right.
It's Alia. It's okay.
Aaliyah. So close.
Hey, Alia.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
I can actually. So my question is if I can take a single family residence.
Yep.
And use the loan limits of a duplex to then convert it into a duplex.
You can. The big question is, will your town allow you to do it?
Okay. Yeah.
So that's the thing. The rule of thumb, guys, and what I've seen, and listen, I would love to do that. Here's another thing. Who here has heard of ADUs? ADUs are big now. They're big in California. Accessory dwelling units. A lot of California is doing it because they're just running out of housing. Right. So there's a lot, I know California is doing it. Washington's doing it. Georgia's doing it. So 203K, you're allowed to use that. You're allowed to build an accessory unit. And there's sweeping rezoning on these states that allow you to do this accessory unit. Now it doesn't turn it into a duplex, but essentially this is one way to kind of skirt that. But generally, Alia, the rule of thumb is that if your single family home are like very closely adjacent to other multifamily homes, you have a fighting chance to go to the zoning board and be able to get the rezone. If it's not, it's probably not going to happen because they're going to ask the neighbors. And let's be honest, the reason people like living in the suburbs is because there's no multifamilies around. It's single family homes, right? People pay that premium to be in the suburb, be away from the town and be kind of away. The closer you are to like city center and stuff, you have a fighting chance. So what I would do is I would look at your zoning in whatever market you're looking to do. If there's single families around or multifamilies around, it's worth a shot. You go down to the zoning board, you just ask, hey, what would it be to convert this single family into a multi? Figure that out before you go. But yes, you can take advantage of the duplex loan limit. The 203K will let you do kind of really whatever you want as long as it's in your budget and it's legal and it's per code.
Okay. I also had a question. What if you find a property that is habitable by some people's standards, but you want to go in and maybe like, is there a threshold to where, okay. I mean, what if like there's houses out there that were like built in the 70s and some people are like, oh, it's still totally fine. For me, I'd be like, no, I want to go and I want to renovate it and make it my own.
You could use it. Again, that's kind of like almost like what this loan was like really in like for. But again, I came from like that world of like, I want to be an investor. Right. So like I looked at this loan through the eyes of an investor, right? Like I wanted to be, all in for 75% to 80% all in hard costs, like purchase, renovation costs, holding costs, everything. And then I have 20% equity at the end where I could, I took out a HELOC on mine. So I took the HELOC out, tapped into 80,000 in equity and then used it to go buy more loans. But yeah, I mean, if you want to buy it and just like, update it, you can do whatever you want for it. I think like there's a minimum of like $5,000. And then you do that. There's something called a 203K limited. It used to be called the Streamline. Generally that is like, it's like a kind of like really quick and dirty version of using the 203K loan. And that's for like renovations that are 30 to 35,000 and below. Usually with those, like you don't bring a 203K consultant on board, you pay the contractor half up front, half at the end. And it's a quick and dirty one. Versus, you have like something like, a huge gut rehab. It could be as much as you're able to get approved for.
Cool.
Yeah. Great questions.
Thank you. And then, so I know we've kind of discussed this privately, but like if say that you are lacking income, you could potentially go in with a partner.
Great question. So FHA standards with this are that if you are buying with a partner, they need to occupy the property along with you. The caveat to that is that if you get a co-signer that's like a family member, an immediate family member, like a mom, a dad, a grandma, whatever, cousin, brother, maybe not cousin, I don't know. But I don't know what the exact linear line is built in the sand, that they can only co-sign for you if it's a single family house. So they don't allow you to buy a multifamily with a co-signer. But again, remember, if you don't qualify on your mortgage alone, but you're buying a single family or buying a multifamily, you're going to be able to get approved for a lot more. I had a guy, he was like the first guy that I mentored to do this. And he made his kid Shannon, he didn't really make much money at all. Like he made like he was making like 30,000 a year, but he was able to buy a quadplex and rent out all the units and still make $1,200 a month in cash flow. So he lived for free, $1,200 a month. He had the down payment. He didn't really hit the debt to income ratio, but because he was buying a quadplex, those other 3 units, the forecasted income, they take a portion of it, right? For 4 units, I think they take like 50 to 60% of what the projected. So now he basically just got a huge raise essentially on his income, on his debt to income ratio. So now he's able to afford it and he didn't need much down, right? So that's kind of the beauty of the multifamily thing as well, again, is because if you can't qualify it on your own, kind of like me, I found out about that by accident. But that's like the cool thing of if you're looking to get qualified for a multifamily, you could do that. Another thing you could do is you can ask your lender to give you a subject to pre-approval. So what you could do is like, you could say like, hey, I intend on buying a multi-family, a 2-family or a 3-family. Can you give me a pre-approval contingent on me getting a 3-family in X market based on, it's going to be like a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and it's going to give you, X amount in income, right? They're going to take a portion of that income. They're going to know roughly what market rent is, and they can give you a rougher idea of like what you would be approved for if you bought a multifamily.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
I wanted to ask, where are you located, Alia?
I'm in Orange County. I'm in really expensive area.
So ADUs is your play.
Well,
ADUs are your play.
Yeah, I actually live in downtown Huntington Beach, and we've got, I call them tall and skinnies. Literally, the one right across the street from me is so dilapidated, and it's literally on Pacific Coast Highway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, my goal after doing this a couple of times is to like buy one of those units. But this couple, like, I see them every day and their house is like so bad. And I mean, like, I've done, I think they tried listing it for like 3.5 million. But it needs so much work. Like even the windows that have the grids on it, the grids have like fallen over. Like, their mini blinds are like they've been eaten away. And
California is crazy. Listen, I'm in New York, right? I'm empathetic to all of this. I know. And listen, guys, this, like, is this going to work for, like, in a super A-class neighborhood? You're always dealing with FHA loan limits, which as of today just got a huge boost, biggest boost they've ever gotten in decades, because of all like the insane upcharges in housing prices. So, like, you'd be surprised on what you can get an FHA loan for in your market. It's probably in the million plus 2 million range. But generally speaking, like, I always tell people, like, expand your reach. Like, this doesn't have to be your forever home. Like, go as far out on the city limits as you can to find something that you can afford. Because again, just like get that one under your belt and then level up, right? Level up into the next one or whatever, So don't, if you're looking at your market and you're a super high cost of living market, don't be afraid to look outside a little bit. Again, like, if you're looking to do this and like leverage it the way that I talk about, and you're not really looking to live there forever, like, just put that into perspective. Like, I tell people, like, if your boss told you, to go, move a little further away from work, you have to commute an hour and a half every day. I did this, an hour and a half both ways every day, 3-hour commute every day. And you do that for a year straight. But at the end, I'm going to give you $130,000 bonus and a $2,000 a month raise. Would you do it? Nobody would say no to that. Nobody would say. So make the sacrifice to, like, go out on the outskirts, go find something. Because again, this isn't going to be, especially as a multifamily, right? We're doing this as a stepping stone to really just boost our real estate investing careers. So you're using this as that, and then you're going in and doing bigger things.
I do actually have another question. Say I do find a property that's valued at, let's just say 3 million.
Sure.
The duplex limit right now in Orange County is like 1.2, I think. What if I was to find someone else who could cover that gap between 1.2 and 3?
Yeah, I mean, it's the loan amount, but the coverage on that gap would need to be like, they need to see that it's coming from you. So again, like, they want to know that this is your money, that this is your house. So, like, you would have to season that money, right? You'd have to have someone that gives you 1.5 milli, and it sits in your bank for at least 2 to 3 months, which is the seasoning period. And then you could say, hey, listen, I want to buy this $3 million house. I have 1.75 million to put down, and they'll still give you that loan for 120, because the loan's based on equity, right? It's not based on, or the loan's based on, the loan's based on how much you take the loan out. If you put in half down, just because you could put 3.5% down doesn't mean you can't put 80% down. You could put down as much as you need. The loan limit is that limit. That's all the loan they can give you. Above that, if you could come up with the difference and they're okay with it, then you can do that.
Okay, sweet. All right, thank you so
Great
much.
questions. Sure.
Thank you. All right, we're going to have Michael come up next, and then we will try to fit some more questions in, but I really want Matt to be able to talk about his 203K way program and everything. So, Michael, what you got?
Hey, so I put my questions in so that everyone gets an answer to, even though I'm pretty sure I have the answer on it. But the first question is, how soon can you refi out of a 203K?
Great question. Great question. Just as fast as any other out of any other loan. So like most bank, it's up to the bank you're refinancing with. Generally speaking, the lowest I've seen is 6 months. I refinanced after 8. But yeah, you can do it 6 months after.
Okay. And yeah, usually seasoning 6 to 12 months is standard.
Yep.
One of the other things that comes up, and I do this with other strategies, but I don't want to get too complicated using trusts and LLCs and all that, but
Sure.
Does the 203K allow a buyer or partner to be the live-in if you're not just a co-signer? Like, for example, I've done it before where I bought a property with one of my children and they qualified as a live-in, but I wasn't just a co-signer. It technically was my loan.
Okay.
But I also have done it with trusts and LLCs where I had a partner or the basically end buyer qualify, even though I was on record as the owner on the deed for the property.
It's a good question. I mean, listen, every bank goes off of the FHA guidelines, right? I can't speak for what banks are willing to do. There's some banks that are willing to maybe make some type of stipulation, but I think FHA guidelines are pretty clear on that. To be honest, I don't know exactly what that is. That'd be a question for your lender. I know for sure you can't buy it with an entity. That's definitely not in the cards. You're using your name, right? And if it's a family member and they're occupying, one of them's occupying, no, you don't have to live there if your family member's buying it. Again, but if you're buying it with a family member, you don't have to live there. You could be on the loan, but again, it needs to be a single family.
Okay. I just wanted to get it out there so people knew, like, refi options and all that.
Oh yeah, no, it's a big question a lot of people ask, so hopefully it answered a lot of people's questions.
Thank you, Michael. Really appreciate you. Dakota, I would love to hear, is there any one or two questions that really stood out to you that we haven't gotten to yet?
Yeah, let me look through here. Let's see.
While he looks through, Matt, I have to ask, so I know you said in your internship, you realized that it was a really sad job, you said, or depressing,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yep.
Did you end up continuing to finish your degree, or were you like, okay, I need to figure out something else?
Yeah, I did. So it's kind of funny. Like, I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I was like, when I was done, I was like, F the man, screw having a job, like jobs are for losers and like all that thing. But no, I finished, and I'm glad I did. The reality is, like, I still hold the W-2 down. But the cool thing about it is that I chose the job that I wanted, right? It was an offer I couldn't refuse. It's with a company I love tremendously. I love the work I do. It doesn't feel like work, and it fits exactly my lifestyle. I'm very flexible with when I can work. I can manage my real estate business, my 203K way community, and do all these things and still be able to get qualified for a loan with no problem, because I show a nice W-2 income, right? So I get all the benefits of that, but that only came after, like, listen, I worked some crappy jobs, like I said, not crappy jobs. Everything was a stepping stone, but when you start having some real estate investments under your belt and you start having other streams of income, it really makes you put into perspective what you want to do with your time, because you don't need to be there, right? So, me, I just had a baby. It was important for me to also have that healthcare, have those benefits. You know what I mean? So it's like, now listen, there'll be a time and a place, I'm sure, one day where I'm just gonna like not need it at all, and there's just enough deals out there where I can get there. But when that time comes, I'll cross that path. But I've been lucky enough to have those opportunities. And I always tell people, don't quit your day job, man, because it's, let the 9 to 5 finance the 6 to 12, for the first couple of years. And then once you start really making some moves, it puts things into perspective. It really does. You don't have to slave to a job you hate anymore. You quit that job and go search for your dream job, or search for your dream position, or maybe you do something else. But it's just it gives you a lot of clarity, and it gives you it takes that kind of weight off your shoulders of you having to show up and work for a company you don't like.
I find that so interesting because David's also an electrical engineer major.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah. So I was just like, whoa, what are the odds? And he like
Yeah.
tried doing the electrical work in like his first house that he was flipping or something. And
Yeah.
I think he didn't do it after that, but like I just found that so interesting and I think we can relate here. Like I love my W-2, and I know that's like I don't know, I love it, and I know there's more things out there, but
Sure.
I enjoy what I do. So I think that's so great. Okay, Dakota, did you find one question? And then I want to ask Matt about his 203K community.
Yeah. So I think this is an interesting one. What requirements are there to get this loan? Like, what do you have to have lined up to qualify for this?
Yeah, great question. So it follows FHA guidelines, right? FHA is the easiest loan to get approved for out there. The point of this loan is to get everybody the ability to buy a property, right? 3.5% down. I don't care who the heck you are. If you have a job, you can save 3.5% of a down payment in your market in less than a year. I guarantee it. You do not have to eat beans every day. You don't have to be a Dave Ramsey acolyte to be able, never go out to a restaurant or only get half price apps at Applebee's after 10 o'clock once a year for your birthday. You can save up, I always say tax yourself, right? Come up with, 20%, right? You pay a lot of taxes to the government, and you help the government with a lot of things. How about help yourself, right? Tax yourself. I still do it every week. I have X amount of money that comes out of one bank account and goes into another bank account that I don't touch for anything but investment and investing in myself. Like if I'm looking to join masterminds or in education to educate myself, right? So that's where that money goes. So 3.5% down, obviously they look for that. They look for 2 years tax returns. They just want to see consistent income, right? Bank's not going to lend to you if you show that you don't have a consistent income. I don't make the rules. I don't agree with it. It's kind of tough for the 1099 guys out there. If you are a 1099, get a cosigner, buy it with a partner, that type of thing. So they look for that. 50% or lower debt to income ratio. That is very, very high. You probably shouldn't be getting that high on your debt to income ratio, but if you have student loans, it's very apathetic to that. And like 50%, it's because it's to your gross income. It's before taxes, before any costs like that, right? And then they look for a 580 credit score is actually the FHA limit. From all the lenders I talk to, they really won't look at you unless you're like in the 620 range at least. If you're looking for home style, they look for you to be in the 700s, a little higher on there, but 600 credit score. I mean, listen, I'm sorry if you guys have a 580 out there, but 580, you really got to mess up. And you could usually just work with a credit repair company and get that fixed in less than a year if you are that low. But yeah, that's it. Like it's really, you don't need much, and like a stable income, right? Like stable job, 2 years. And it doesn't need to be like, you could have switched jobs. COVID just happened. A lot of people got furloughed, laid off, whatever. They're all lenders are sympathetic to that. They'll take that into account. And generally speaking, if you are back employed and you're off your furlough, you could show that with some bank statements and tax returns or whatever, pay stubs, then you're good to go.
That's awesome. I love this. We don't have a lot of talking about like loans and stuff like that. And I feel like that's just something, and that's why you have the two.
Yeah, it's a little different than the DealMachine thing, but to really see how this whole ties in with DealMachine real quick is like me and my wife are in the process of buying our own house. And how are we doing it? We're driving the neighborhood we want to buy in, because there's just not, we're looking in like a 2 mile square radius. I've been using DealMachine to find my dream home. And it's been working really well, where you have a lot of leads. We just started a couple months ago. And we're looking in such a tight margin, but I'm not going to depend on MLS. We know where we want to live, and we're looking for fixer upper properties. So we found about 100, 150. We're sending them mailers through DealMachine. I'm knocking on doors. I'm leaving door hangers. Right. And we're just using this as a way to contact these sellers. And what's cool is when you talk to the seller and tell them that you're living there, right? Or you intend to move in with your family, right? I showed you before, I sent a mailer out and I have a picture of my son on the bottom of the mailer. And I said, we just had a baby and we're looking to move into the house. Guess what my response rate is, guys? I don't even want to tell you, because you're gonna try to use this strategy. You're gonna put just some random baby on your cards now. No, do this in earnest, guys. But my response rate's like 10 to 15% on these cards, which is like, I mean,
it's
Elise can tell
insane.
you
If you
that.
don't know the return rate on that is
Right.
a really good return rate.
Yeah. So the response rate's super high. Again, no official deal yet, but a lot of great leads. And that I'm continuing to follow up on. And driving for dollar, like, you combine the driving for dollars wholesaling mentality with this 203K loan. I have some guys in my inner circle that are doing this, and it's like, I mean, they're buying houses at 50 cents on the dollar with 3.5% down. I mean, they're paying nothing and they're getting just like $200,000-$300,000 equity plays. It's sick. But again, you do it for your live and flip. You do it for the one, and then you use that equity and you go do more. That's the goal.
I love it. And tell us about the community and what you offer in your mentorship and everything.
Absolutely. So, I am an open book. I said day one, I was like a kind of a fan of Gary V. Like, I'm a believer in, like, I lay it all out there, guys. Like, hopefully you see how the way I answer questions. There's nothing I hide behind closed doors. My Instagram account is really my prime place where this all started, at the 203K way on Instagram. AJ, if you could put it in, at the 203K way on Instagram, you go to the 203kway.com. There's a bunch of links to a couple things in there. I have a 1-hour masterclass where I really just go step by step, start to finish, this exact strategy that you can go to copy and paste, do it yourself, how I find deals for it, how I analyze deals for it, how I get contractors, that type of thing. So you could check that out. It's at the 203kway.com/free training. My Facebook group, guys, I mean, it's a great community, a lot of lenders in there, contractors in there. I am always spending a lot of time in there. In terms of what I offer for mentorship, I mean, listen, guys, again, I put a lot of stuff out there for free. And the people I tend to work with are just people that are looking to, they understand the process. They're all about it. They love the idea. They know that they can do it. They just want me to look over their shoulder while they do that. So I do offer one-on-one mentorship for the people that are 100% ready to go. They're gung-ho and ready to make it happen. They have the down payment ready. They have capital ready to invest. And they want to just have someone look over their shoulder so they don't mess up. And I do that. So if you're interested in that, you could DM me the word launch on Instagram, and we could jump on a phone call and talk about what that looks like.
And also, just so you guys know, because we have the wonderful Matt on here, we've been putting in the chat. If you haven't, I know we did that poll in the beginning. If you have been on the fence about DealMachine, not really sure if you want to try it out yet, you have a 7-day free trial from this man over here with $20 free to use.
One of my students got a deal off of the free mailers that you give. He got a deal. So I mean, it was like, yeah. So actually, I have to say, he didn't close on it because he found a better deal, but he literally found a deal off of his DealMachine free trial that he got through me. If you guys support me, I don't care. Support DealMachine, whatever. It helps to support me because, as me and Elise were talking about, a lot of work to put out this content. I do it all out of the goodness of my heart. So that little bit helps me be able to, pay for like website hosting and all this good stuff that I get for you guys to deliver this content to you all. But yeah, no, he found a deal. He actually ended up finding a better deal, upstate New York. He just closed on it a couple months ago. And he's looking to do it monster deal. He put 35,000 down. He now controls a $1.5 million asset. That's going to be making him like 7,000 a month in cash flow. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Any more of your mentees that get deals, and anyone listening to this, you get deals. I want to talk to you, and I want to get you on our YouTube.
Oh yeah,
channel.
For sure.
Yeah. Also, check out Matt on our IG too. Obviously, go follow him. But I loved your IG takeover because he shows you.
It was a lot of fun.
He goes up to the house and shows you how he knocks on doors, and he does knock on doors now. He doesn't. That door hanger I put up. Yeah. That door hanger I put up, I got a call from it. Or, dude, I'm telling you, door knocking, door hangers, and like sticky notes are
Nobody wants to do it because it sucks. Don't get me. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's easy, but like nobody wants to put in the work. I admittedly hate doing it. That's also why we haven't probably found a house yet, because I just haven't knocked on every single door. I also have the time and everything. If you're starting out and you have the time, door knock, leave sticky notes, get these door hangers. Ballpoint Marketing, you guys are fans of them. You just write a sticky note, whatever. And obviously also mail them, right? Like every house I door knock is in my DealMachine feed, and I have like also drip campaigns going out to them, like postcards and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, and doing that to find your own house in this crazy seller's market, shooting fish in a barrel right now. It is, because you're cutting through the noise. Every single mailer that's going out is, I could buy all cash, close quickly. I can buy, no repairs, leave your things, blah, blah, blah. Versus, hey, me and my family really want to move into the area. We just had a baby. Any interest in selling? Give us a call. Who do you think they're going to call?
I have to have you tell them you not only have a good rate with that, but tell them, the people who are calling you back, how is their response to you marketing to them?
Yeah. So for years of doing off-market campaigning, I would get a third of go F yourselves, a third of, what are you willing? I'll sell it to you for $1 million.
Raise your hand if you've ever had that happen.
Right. Or a third of like, I'm thinking about it. And then, those are kind of the leads. Right. And Ryan Dossey, shout out to him. I mean, he says that. And I actually never really, I'm not really good with numbers. I told you that in the beginning of this whole thing. And that is pretty much right. Like I knew I was always looking at the phone. I'm like, is it going to be a really angry person? With this mail drop, I couldn't tell you how many nice people I got. Not only did I get nice people, but I got them just telling me, oh, Nancy down the block is, I get like old people. That's really just who these houses were in this neighborhood we're looking. It's a lot of older people. They're like, Nancy is selling. And she's like, Bob, what's Nancy's house address? And she's like, Nancy lives on whatever. She wants to sell. And then like another guy was like, he's the head of the civic society for that area. And he's like, if I hear of anything, I'll let you know. People want to help. People really want to help. When you say like, I am looking, in earnest, like I'm looking to move into a property in this neighborhood with me, my family. You don't even have to have a family. I'm looking to start my life here. I'm looking to move into the area. I just got a job in the area, whatever it is, be earnest. People naturally want to help that. And every single response rate I got, every single response was 100% positive. They commented on my family. They said, congrats on the new baby. Oh yeah, I know it's tough getting in this market, but if anything comes up, I'll let you know. It's just so different. Now, again, this is good for that first one or that next one or whatever. Don't try to utilize this if you're an investor and you're wholesaling it and you're telling them you're going to move in with their family and then you sell it to an investor that knocks it down. That type of thing. But
yeah.
Anyway.
No, I love that. And yeah, I loved getting away from that verbiage that everyone uses. It makes you stand out. And
that's the big thing right now. Yeah.
It's what's going to help. So I want to be very respectful of your time. Thank you for going 8 minutes over what we talked about.
I could talk about this all night, to be honest. And you'll find that, guys. I mean, again, if you liked this whole thing, again, I'm an open book. Just follow me on my socials. My 2022 New Year's resolution is to get at least one YouTube video out a week. That's my goal. Let's see if it happens. Yeah, I bought a $5,000 camera and I just realized
okay, well now you really got to do it.
Exactly. Yeah, no, I walked into the camera store and I'm the most gullible person on the planet. I haven't mentioned that yet. And I was like, the salesman's like, well, you definitely need this. And I was like, of course I do. And then anyway, so I'm going to make usage of this camera. So that's the goal. Follow my socials, Instagram, Facebook, my Facebook group, my Facebook community. Those are the best places to find me. And we could talk more, chop it up all the time about this type of stuff.
I love it. Thank you so much. And everyone, please know that this is going to be replayed on our YouTube channel next week. So be sure to look out for that, as well as connect with Matt here. But thank you so much, Matt, for being here. And thank all of you for being here too.
This was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Have a great weekend, guys.